Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Victor Mithouard, the Vice President of Growth at Numeral. Numeral is a banking aggregation and payment automation platforms that aims to help fintech companies build complex payment workflows jointly with Tier 1 banks. In 2023, the Tier 1 banks and the payments through the Tier 1 banks still go through file management systems, which involves a lot of file handling, from payment initiation, payment status reports, account management files that get exchanged, thousands of files a day in ISO formats, XML, standard 18 for BACs across both the UK as well as the EU. But fintechs actually want to use their banks as just yet another microservices within the architecture. They want to be able to do request call through API in order to facilitate integrations and to facilitate reconciliations. What we see today is that banks and implementation projects with banks now take 3 to 6 months of time. When it comes to reconciliation of settlement, reconciliation of payments are actually hard to manage when it comes to these fintechs. That's where Numeral comes in. We want to bridge that gap by building deep integrations with Tier 1 banks and enable fintechs to actually build products that move money with a single API and single dashboard. Now, let's take a concrete example. If we look at what a payment file looks like, this is an ISO file. Imagine a neobank that wants to send payments to their banks. That fintech will have to put together one of these files, the standard 18 ISO, batch it, send it to the bank. Now let's move on to what this looks like actually when you go through Numeral. Numeral is first and foremost designed for product and technology team that have to build integration with their system every day. The payment order is the abstraction that we've created for these teams to actually be able to interact with the bank system through a single API. Do you want to do a SEPA instance, a BACS, FPS, Swift? You can do this by just changing the type here in the Numeral dashboard. You want to change the credits, the direction, the credit debits. You want to change the connected accounts, which is the accounts that you've connected at the bank. All of this is actually doable from one single API that Numeral then batches into files, sent to the banks, and wait for updates from the banks, all in one place. We also enable custom workflows for financial institutions, changing the originating accounts for SEPA indirect participants to enable them to send these payments from IBANs that they actually have created in the name of their customers. We also build custom approval workflows where you can actually design approvals outside of the bank system to ensure that the treasury and operations team can validate the payments that have the highest risk and the highest fraud potential one by one. That reduces the implementation projects by 3 to 5 times the resources for the build for fintechs, as well as the resources for the banks, which has to manage each individual clients and customer with teams of their own. But that's not enough. We feel that, as always in those projects, the treasury and operations teams are an essential part of the mix. And so Numeral comes in 2 parts, sitting on these cash management systems. It has an API we just looked at. It also has a dashboard aimed at the treasury and operations team. In the back end, for every payment that's placed, Numeral handles the complexity of the payment status reports that keep coming from the bank system. We update in real time every single payment and updating their status so that every fintech has the visibility where their millions of payments are on a daily basis. We turn this discrete file system into an event system that provides an audit trail for everyone within the business to know exactly where each payment is at any point in time. And because Numeral is built for developers, we actually enable developers to stream back those events through modern webhooks back into their core banking system, accelerating process integration, working with our core banking partners that are usually part of the projects we work on. While doing so, we are extremely intent on not disintermediating the bank and creating the full visibility on what happens within the cash management system of the banks. These are all the files that we actually exchange, thousands, tens of thousands per day, to ensure that the payments get placed, initiated, reconciled, and come back to those systems. Integration time reduced by 3 to 5 times. The second advantage of Numeral for very high payment volumes is that we actually aggregate all the account statements and balances for connected accounts. In that case, we take an operating account. You can see all the transactions that have been booked to the accounts. Numeral has an automated reconciliation engine working on 15 different payment IDs, identifiers, and data points that allows reconciliation to be created on a transaction-per-transaction basis with a 99% accuracy rate. For each payment, an associated reconciliation is created. It can be one-to-one, one-to-n, end-to-end, depending on the complexity of the bank processes and how close the fintech wants to be to the CSM and the way that the settlement works. Every reconciliation can be traced back to that same points, and finance and operation teams can take the right business decision, automate the right process, which ultimately not only reduce efforts, but also in many cases, when reconciliations are a critical part of the business model, is disbursing funds and being part of the user experience, create a much better user experience. That's Numeral in a nutshell. So we are a platform that works with the bank's cash management team to help them build custom workflows with fintechs, putting the tier 1 banks at the center again of the payment economy, rather than going to a PSP or an API-enabled bank. We just launched our platform in the UK with our first integrations with Barclays, HSBC, SVB, and we are now looking for bank partners and fintechs to continue building this payment journey we're on. Thank you very much.